Welcome to The Other Side of the Bridge with Iron City Paranormal, where they discuss real investigations, first-hand experiences, unexplained moments, and everything that happens when you step off the regular path and onto the other side of the bridge. Just honest paranormal talk, Iron City Paranormal style. And now, here are your hosts, Derek Smith and Dan Metelsky.
There are places where the familiar fades and the unknown begins. A bridge is one of those places. It's where we leave solid ground behind, and for a moment we're suspended between what we understand and what we don't. Tonight we're crossing that bridge together. Welcome back to The Other Side of the Bridge, the show where we explore real places, strange encounters, and unanswered questions from the space in between. We're not here to tell you what to believe. We're here to walk with you across the bridge and into the unknown. Welcome back, everybody. Tonight, we're going to pick up on a place that we got into on the last episode, and we reminded ourselves how much we loved it. And we're going to jump right back into it. And we're now making case studies out of what we do.
I mean, we went back so many times to this place that what else do you call it at this point? I mean, investigation 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just going to keep going. So why not make it something bigger, right?
Yeah. So Blennerhassett Island case study officially, and I'm super excited about this because we're, obviously the show's new, and we're trying to figure out ways that we can frame all of this content that we have from the last nearly 10 years of doing this. And I love the idea, of making case studies out of these things. We're planning on getting into the history of places and then kind of like dovetailing in, what we've gotten during investigations. I think it's a great way to do this, and especially Blennerhassett Island, right? We've investigated here 3 times.
4.
Right? 4 times.
4 times. Exactly why it became a case study. I mean, what else do we do with it? But no, I mean, you think about it. We went into it the first time completely cold, no idea what we were getting ourselves into. This was a huge stepping stone for us, a big foundation to what we do now, the way that we have our setups, our equipment, everything, and we start going back after that. And not only are we investigating on the follow-ups, but we were asked by the group Hidden Marietta to help lead some of the investigations and help guide people and teach people. And I mean, it was really a phenomenal experience kind of all the way around. And we got our oohs and ahs. We got our people that were really into it, the first timers that had no clue what they were doing. But it was all in all, it's been a great experience every single time we go. Yeah.
And it piggybacks off of what we were talking about last week with the water situation, right?
That's right.
This island is in the middle of the Ohio River in Parkersburg, West Virginia. So it's a really like a genuinely cool place, right? Like, and of all the investigations, like at least personally, I've never felt truly isolated while doing an investigation. Right. But this one, and Sabrina, I wish you were there with us. Like, that's the thing. Like, this was so many years ago, the first time we went to this island, but like you have to take a ferry over to it. You get off the island on the island with like camping stuff, with all the stuff you need to survive for the night. Of course, there's there's an indoor bathroom and stuff, so it's not like survival mode, but but it was just so cool, and it really sets the scene. They have horse and buggies that like a horse-drawn like cart that takes people around the island, gives you a tour of it, tells you ghost stories beforehand, and then you're just kind of off to the island to investigate. I think it's a wildly cool place.
Well, and so before we get into too much, I think are going to set the standard. This is probably going to be a multi-episode feature, right? With as many times as we've been there, as much as there is to dig into. So I think prefacing that, we're going to probably do multi-episodes, but tonight what we want to do is we want to focus on the mansion, right? I mean, that's kind of the surrounding areas here.
Yep.
That being said, I think exactly what you're talking about, though. Like, you can't talk the mansion without talking the island. And, this isn't a place that you just happen upon. it's you have to know it. Like you're saying, you have to take a ferry to get there. You have to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Once you do, man, it's a whole different ball game. It's a different world. And if you think historically speaking, it was one of those places that, like, it was a Native American ground, right? It was kind of strategic location for everything, living, hunting, everything. So with that being said, this was a part of the expansion time period in the 1700s. And once it became a settlement here, there was no streets, there was nothing there. It was designed to be, it was really designed just to be an expansion. And the island itself, I mean, the Blennerhassetts were the ones that actually settled it. And trying to think of the date. Do you recall the date? I think it was 1798 when Harman and Margaret Blennerhassett settled here, and they built the estate. They kind of there was the island, and there was nothing, and then came the Blennerhassetts, and they constructed this huge estate. And when I say huge, I mean it's massive.
Yeah, it's big. It's a big place, and this is to kind of set the scene. There's not much on this island, right? I mean, you can see there's a lot of trees back behind the mansion. When you get there, this is prominently standing out. You get off the ferry right beside this place. I mean, there's just something that draws you to this, and there's this massive courtyard in the front. It's got all these really old black walnut trees all over the place. I mean, it is just a really historic, creepy place, and it becomes creepier as the night wears on and that sun starts to go down. But this mansion, it's just, of course, when you're doing investigations, obviously, like, let's go in the house, let's go in the creepy house, right? It's not scary anymore to be outside at night, right? It's not as scary, right? But when you're in an enclosed space, I think that it, like, heightens the awareness of, not that you can't get out, but, like, it's less of a, just run for your life kind of thing. Like, you feel a little bit trapped maybe in those kind of places. I don't know what that is psychologically, but that's what I'm very anxious to get into this mansion part of it, because it's a special place for me.
Well, so let's fast forward a little bit then. I mean, obviously there's the status, there's the power, there's the money that goes into this place. And along comes Aaron Burr and his pull to create his own country, and he became very good friends with the Blennerhassetts. Money, politics, they all played a big part of it. You fast forward past that, the downfall of it, the whole Aaron Burr situation, which we won't get into because that would be an episode in its own right. But with that came,
I will sing Hamilton songs if we need to. I'll do it.
Nobody wants that.
I'll do it.
We have plenty to cover. Nobody wants that.
Okay.
But so it wasn't like a decline, right? It was a wall. This place just boom. It was done. With this situation, and paranormally speaking, that's a tragic event. Right. So that lays the groundwork, that lays the foundation for this, set aside the Native Americans in its own right. That's a whole different situation. But it's really its own tragedy. So with the decline, with the fall, I want to say it was 1811 is the age that sticks out to me, that when it was actually burnt down. The whole place was destroyed. And this what's left there now that you can visit is actually all replication, which is impressive in its own right. They had blueprints, not much as far as photography goes back then, but they lost everything. So they went back to Ireland. They basically left the place. They abandoned it until the Historical Society came and the state took it over, and they started fresh, started new, and that's where we are now. And like you were saying, Dan, there's now tours of the place, there's horse and buggy, there's everything. You literally step back in time when you're there. I mean, the employees, everybody there is all in, the historic garb, right? Like they want you to feel like you're back then. You're in a different place, a different time.
And those same employees, obviously they're very historically oriented, but they're also very quick to all tell you their own personal ghost stories about.
They're ready and raring to do it. Right? That's right. So, anybody that comes up to you.
So I'm extremely anxious to find out what Sabrina thinks of this place. I know Sabrina, you have some really different special abilities than what we have. What do you get, since you weren't here with us on this investigation? What does these photos of this place do for you?
Well, the first thing that I was picking up, funny enough, before you even talked about the place, was that there was Indians on the ground. The second thing that I'm picking up was there was some kind of a murder on the grounds as well. I'm picking up a man specifically that was murdered. Okay. I'm trying to figure out if it was like an Indian that had actually murdered the individual, because it does feel like it was some sort of a Native American conflict. But yeah, there is a ton of energy. And I feel like people will hear like Indian music or drums. There's something significant about the flute and drums.
So I don't know about the drums, but I will tell you there is campfires aside, there is the scent of smoke. People will pick that up. I will tell you firsthand experience. We picked that up. I know that we smelled it kind of at different times. There was a moment where Dan smelled it and he's looking around like, I smell something. It doesn't smell like a normal campfire. It smells like something different, like a cigar or something. I'm like, I'm smelling my clothes. I'm like, I don't think it's on me yet, but it was moments later when I then picked it up too. It was actually a pretty surreal moment, because it was very similar to what he had done.
Yeah. So Sabrina, obviously there's a huge amount of Native American history and lore to this place, to the island. Not necessarily, it's not the house, right? It's the island. Yeah, very violent. In fact, there's rumor. We have no confirmation of this other than people telling us while we were there. But there may actually be Native American burial grounds on this island as well. That
was what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
So on top of that, guess where you camp at?
Yeah.
Like in the back.
Literally camp on top of the Native American burial grounds.
Yeah. It was behind the house, like over to the left, where the trees and things were. If you go back there further, that's where I was picking up the grounds were mainly.
Okay. So back in that area, we know that there was Native American fighting and deaths over there, because that part of the island is actually, for those that are familiar with the Pittsburgh area, Nemacolin Woodlands Resort, not far outside of Pittsburgh. Chief Nemacolin is actually buried on this island. He was a massive human being. He was like 7 feet tall. He was massive. But there's actually a marker that they have on the island for Chief Nemacolin, where people often go to give him like tobacco offerings.
Pay respects like that.
Pay respects to him. So like back specifically in that area where you're talking, Sabrina, is exactly where he is believed to be buried.
Wow.
Yeah, this island is so neat.
There's so many different facets to it. It seems like every area is something different. So just kind of list through some of the normal events that occur here. I mean, there's like you were saying, Dan, with the Native American draw, the drums, the smoke we were talking about. Inside the mansion itself, there's the almost stereotypical footsteps, the hallway. You get shadows passing by. There's I know in talking to some of the employees there, they seem like they're overhearing conversations inside. nothing specific that they can gather, but there's that very quiet hum of a conversation, just a back and forth. On top of that, there is then a child's presence that has been said to be seen, to be felt. Groups of these tour groups actually have seen this child, and they actually think that she's off on her own, and they'll go up to a tour guide and be like, "Is somebody with this little girl?" And they'll turn around and be like, "What girl?" It's those kinds of things that stand out there too. I don't want to get too much into some of the other areas, because there is places like the Neal House that's in a whole different area with its own stories. You get the Block House, which again is a whole different area, which is where we saw the Watcher from episode 3.
Yeah, but we're going to get into that in other episodes.
Yes, we don't want to. That's where I'm going with this. Is we want to keep that at a distance. We want to focus on the mansion.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that there's a lot of obviously a lot of stuff that has happened here in the house, on the grounds, right? And this is where kind of the fun part of what we do investigating comes full circle. We also become like little detectives, right? Like, I think we need to put on like a little detective hats and like have little pipes. Because
if you recall, back then we used to have vests.
Oh, we did. We were so kick-ass. Sabrina, you would have been way too less cool than us when we were on these initial ones. We had like these fishing vests that we got, like all these pockets full of stuff. We put all our equipment. Oh, we were badass. We were so cool.
All you're missing is the Ghostbusters vacuum backpack.
We had those early on, and then Derek just got way too weird with it. No, so
I used it too much, cross streams and all.
The detective part of it is like, that's the fun part about investigating to me, is like you get to piece the story together. And this place especially is like one of those like just genuinely so historical of a location. Then we have to figure out, is this residual, like what we're dealing with? Is it something that's like imprinted on the location, or is it something that's actually intelligent, right? And I know that the first time we were there, we were little babies. Like, we were
right.
new. Like, we were like still wet behind the ears. Like, we were, brand new to things. We had very little equipment. But then after we got used to things and got some more equipment, we started to be able to flush out, what is the residual dwellings of this location, and like what is the more intelligent type spirits that could talk to us. We can go on and on about all of this, and we will,
because of the size, and there were time constraints as well. You couldn't spend the entire time in the mansion because it was a public event. You had to let other people in. So I think this is kind of where we really put our whole fishing we go in fishing as far as the paranormal goes, because we kind of just threw everything at it and saw where it took us. And this was much more. This was prior to Dan really honing and focusing on his feelings here. So we didn't want to go too far in that. So we had to rely on our equipment more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually really curious. Were there claims of somebody being pushed?
Pushed in what capacity?
Like, not like a severe shove or anything like that, but I feel like people have had claims of being touched or pushed.
I will say touches. Yes, people have been claimed to be touched. Yep. I know that.
Okay. I was just picking up on that, so I was curious.
You could get pulled in so many different directions here. I mean, it is one of those places you just got to go to. You have to be at to get a good feel for it. I can't imagine how you would be feeling. Your head's got to be just kind of swimming with all this stuff,
Yeah, definitely. Especially outside, because I feel like that's a really, really active area too.
It is, and it's the things that are outside are very different to what is inside. Yes. in what we had experienced there. I think that the outside tended to lean more Native American, and the inside tended to lean more towards the Blennerhassett family and the people that are surrounded by that. So it was just it's a really cool mix of those different aspects, right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious about the touching and the pushing, because when, like, my mind goes to when you're outside, people have constantly been reporting to see things like ducking in between trees and hiding in the trees and flying in between the trees and all that kind of stuff. So, and I think there were a lot of reports, and like, it's been years since we've been there, so I don't remember specific stories, but I think touching was a very big thing there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I felt that was outside. And I feel like what's residual is more in the, it's funny because you would think that the more intelligent stuff, I think, is a mix in the house. But I think a majority of what you find in there, like the footsteps and the conversations, is more like a residual thing.
I think just from personal experience with what we gathered, we definitely got both in the house, depending on the area of it. But with the outside, I think a big thing that we crossed were the Native American watchers, which, what do you place those under? Neither of them, right? I mean, it's not residual. They were never really people. They were never really alive to be considered intelligent. And I think that's a big thing that takes place on that island, especially with the Nemacolin thing that Dan was talking about.
Yeah. So we're gonna get we're running up against the ad break here in a few minutes, but coming up after the ad break, we have a lot of EVPs that we captured on this island, a lot of communication through devices. We're not going to go over it. So we spent the end of the last episode showing that watcher spirit, right? We're not going to get into that guy tonight.
Different area.
He's hanging out back behind. Well, he's outside. We're going to focus on the mansion and the inhabitants thereof. But I will say this one is very. I keep saying it's special to me. It's special to me because this is where one of the first places that I personally encountered a full body apparition on the second floor, and we have a photo to share with everybody on the second half of this episode.
Well, here we can share the room itself. That you're talking about, just to get a feel for it.
Yeah. So this room that's on the screen now, this is the bedroom where I encountered this full body apparition of a young girl. Unfortunately, when I was there without any equipment, because we were actually part of we were helping assist with the public investigation, and there were some people downstairs that were, let's say, they were not in it for the right reasons. They were intoxicated or slightly intoxicated.
They made this into a camping trip with a little paranormal on the side.
They just wanted to be entertained, right? And that's what it was. They just exactly like you said. They just wanted a camping trip with entertainment, and they just wanted these ghosts to come out and dance a cha-cha for them. And then when that wasn't happening, they were causing a little bit of a problem. So I needed to get myself out of that, and I went upstairs, and that's when I encountered this full body apparition in this room. So it's pretty cool. We are actually able to leverage. Derek, you've been asking me for years to draw what
yes,
I saw. My drawing ability has gone downhill over the years, and it was never really good to begin with. But we did use AI to actually create and recreate what I saw. So after the ad break, we'll be sharing that, and I think we're going to get into all of our evidence from there on.
I am curious, Sabrina, if you feel anything from this room, if this one speaks to you at all. I know it's a very unique or an original kind of room.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely feel some energy in there, but it just feels kind of neutral, to be honest. So it doesn't feel like it's anything that's that would be perceived as negative or anything like that. It just kind of feels like a neutral energy to me.
Well, we're going to get into that after a few minutes of ads here. So everybody stick around, and we're going to get into, what we captured at this place.
The new book, How to Research a Haunted House by paranormal investigator Margie Kay and professional researcher Violet Wisdom, is now available from Unex Media. This one-of-a-kind book explains how to do research on a house with uncommon methods and resources used by historic home researchers, and how to determine who may be doing the haunting and why. How to research a haunted house can be used by homeowners, renters, investors, and it should be in the library of all professional paranormal investigators. Get this unique book at unexmedia.com or amazon.com. That's unexmedia.com or amazon.com. The Unex Network presents a health and wellness spiritually based brand of hemp-derived CBD products made by Hopewell Farm in Harrogate, Tennessee. We apply our Cathara energy work with all of our plants and products. Our products made in small batches with only 2 ingredients of pure hemp, full spectrum crude oil, and coconut-derived MCT oil. Third-party lab tested for potency and legal THC levels with 6 strengths of 1 ounce oil to choose from. Know what you're buying and get what you pay for from Hopewell Farm. Applied directly to a specific area, Hopewell Farm topical salve in 1 ounce and ½ ounce sizes, made with pure hemp crude oil, comfrey extract, and all natural ingredients. Find the Hopewell Farm link and coupon code on the Unex Network website at unexnetwork.com. That's unexnetwork.com. The truth, it's out there, and it's waiting for you. The Unexplained Network is your source for the best in paranormal programming, live video streaming, and audio streaming from hauntings, UFOs, Bigfoot, cryptids, and the ever-expanding realm of the unexplained. Listen live or on demand now on Spreaker, Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeart, and Pockets all over the World Wide Web. The Unexplained Network, where unexplained lives.
All right, welcome back. So now we're going to put our detective hats on, right? So we talked about the history part of the island. And of course, where would we be without history? But now this is the fun part. Now we're going to talk about the experiences that that are very common with this place, but also the firsthand encounters that we had here. We have several different photos to share, a couple different videos, some EVPs, some captures on our recording devices. Just some really cool stuff here. So let's talk about, like, generically speaking, what do people kind of encounter at this place.
I mean, this definitely, starting on Margaret's room here where we left off, this is one of the locations where people typically feel that younger girl presence. You can almost feel a mother and daughter connection. It's been talked about many times before, even being that it's a public place. A lot of people will come in after that and just they'll talk about it. They'll discuss it kind of openly, and in terms of never hearing it, never feeling it before, a sensation like that. So they'll come in and talk about things like that. This is another one that people seem to, you mentioned neutral, Sabrina. A lot of people will say there's absolutely nothing here. I feel nothing in this area. There's never really a pull to it, but it's almost that motherly kind of sensation. Yeah. For this room in particular. So I know, Dan, you had left off with talking about the AI picture. Do you want to go into your experience here and kind of touch on that image that you saw? I mean, I know this is one of the first times you actually physically saw something.
Yeah, at least during our investigations, like I say, we were helping to lead investigations in the house down on the main floor, and there was a specific group that was just, for lack of better terms, just pissing me off. They were going against everything that we believe in as far as being respectful to the location, not to try to not to upset the spirits, not to treat them like you know, they were, a sideshow by any means, but that's exactly what they were doing, and it was starting to get me out of the mindset that I have to be in whenever I investigate, because it just, when I get emotional about things, when I get upset about things, I kind of like block everything out, and I lose my train of thought, right? So I had to just separate myself from the group. So I went upstairs. One thing to keep in mind at this place, what we had to get used to, was you couldn't go in the rooms, if you remember, Derek.
Yeah, they were all blocked off.
Yeah, I mean, this place is pristine, right? I mean, during like as you said, they have the reconstruction of the home after it burned down and everything. Now that it's a historic landmark, they keep it in pristine condition. In every doorway, there's chains, or there's a physical wooden barrier that they put up so that you can't go into the room, but you can stand in the doorway and you can look in. So we're reaching as far as we can into these places and like putting our REM pods out and putting our flashlights out and everything. So I just went up to the second floor to this front room. When you go in the house, there's like a parlor to your right and left. There's a dining room straight ahead. When you go up the staircase in front of you, there's some bedrooms, but this front bedroom specifically facing back towards the courtyard, is very drawn to that room. So I go in, and it was an area where they had like a handrail set up that you couldn't pass over, and I'm just standing there.
It is funny that you say that, because so many people had talked about not feeling anything there, so it was very interesting that you felt you were pulled toward that.
Yeah, no, it was. And so I just went in there and I leaned against the wooden handrail, and I like had my head in my face in my hands, and I was just trying to like block everything out that was upsetting me downstairs and kind of get back into that mode, right?
So let me, if you don't mind, I will interrupt here to play a video of us in Margaret's room with that REM pod that you're talking about. It'll give a feel, at least for Sabrina here. She'll be able to kind of get an idea of the room and what we were dealing with, the size of it, the space, kind of even the sight lines that we had. So if you don't mind, let me just play this. It's a 30-second clip of us talking, of the REM pod going off. You were the one interacting at this point. If there's anyone in here.
Whoa. Hello.
My name's Derek.
Hi, thank you for touching that. Give us a second here. So we've come here to speak with you. We mean you no harm. We've already found our little white device. My name is Daniel. Gentleman standing next to me, like you said, is Derek. Can you please touch that device again and make it light up and make a sound? You found out that it does not hurt you in any way.
So that's kind of how that kicked off, with the REM pod going off. We knew somebody was there.
Yeah, and well, that was after the fact, right?
So that was after you saw you saw this figure, but it was to kind of give an idea. I wanted to let Sabrina get a feel for the space and what we were dealing with, and how you could see the guardrail there, you could see the REM pod sitting there.
Yeah,
you couldn't get in very far, like Dan's saying.
Yeah, so when I was standing there, I had my like elbows on that railing, and I just had my head and my face in my hands, and I just tried to center myself. But when I came, like I stood up, I was still by myself in this little area, and I looked into the dark room, and my eyes, of course, were adjusted to the dark somewhat. It was still pitch black. There was no lights on in the room, but on the left-hand side of the room, and Derek showed that picture earlier with the boots on the floor. You can see that fireplace on the left-hand side. When I looked out and my eyes adjusted, you could see clear as day a child, a female child, standing in front of where that fireplace area is, between the fireplace and the bed. Just the silhouette of her. It was
You say the word, Dan. I'll toss that picture.
Yeah, I mean, go. Yeah, you can go for it now. like, this is what I saw, right? And you can see her standing in that area between the fireplace and the bed. She didn't scare, like, she didn't jump out and say boo, right? Because that would make things a lot easier. She didn't like run at me or anything. She just stood there. And there's a peace and a solace to it, where she just kind of, like, she showed herself to me, which, if for anybody that does investigations, it's kind of a treat for a spirit to, manifest completely, to show themselves to you, just because it takes a lot of energy for them to do that, right? So it's actually, I consider it a good thing, right? I think that they find comfort, or they at least find like they're safe enough to do that with us. So she didn't make herself visible to me. She did go away after a few seconds. Did not have any equipment with me. Like I said, we just had to recreate this through AI. But it really set the pace for the rest of the night, right? And why we were so adamant to come back to this place time and time again is that these spirits, they want people that are respectful. They want people to ask them about themselves. They're willing to show themselves, but you got to just do it the right way, right? Very important stuff when we're talking about, the way that we go about investigations. This is why we do it, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so what we did at this point is we started to, you saw the video, the clip with the REM pod. What we started to do then is actually, we got our Phasma box out and we started to try to interact, to get some kind of communication. We wanted to know who she was. Earlier in the night, in a different location, we got the name of Grace. So we were trying to piece things together. Is this Grace? Is this Margaret's daughter? Is this Margaret herself? We didn't know. We had no idea who it was. So the first thing that came out of it, and I can play this clip here, is we got on this Phasma box a few different things for, conversationally speaking, that were more or less just directed toward Dan. He was shaken up, and you'll be able to hear it in this clip. He wasn't expecting that by any means.
I mean, who would?
Nobody
expect there to be a full body ghost girl like just chilling out in front of you when you look up?
And I don't think anybody's faulting you for that. Not one person would.
I'm definitely sure that a majority of people would have been terrified.
Yeah, I mean, I was ready to poop myself.
So cool. Yeah, like I said, you can hear it. But here, I will play this clip, and you guys kind of digest it. Let me see. Let's see what everybody thinks. Talk about it, and then we can even play it again afterwards. So I will play this guy right now.
Okay, let's be serious. He's laughing at me. Yeah, I know I am. Did you see that? Did you kick my foot? Yeah, you're funny. It's hilarious. It's a lot of fun for me right now, so please keep going. Yeah, we're not...
That's enough, it says.
That's enough. Little people. I'm sorry. But I don't want there to be more. Behind you?
I'm behind you.
Oh. Mm-hmm. I'm behind you. And
behind you.
Interesting.
Do you like Dan?
Possible.
As I've been deep.
So there was a lot going there.
well, by that point, of course, whenever I figured out what the heck was going on, of course, I got a hold of Derek, and then Derek came upstairs, and then everybody was like, "Ooh, let's follow these guys because now they're going upstairs. There must be something." So by this point, we had a crowd around us, and I was still like trying to recover from, just the shock of what I saw. So you can hear the other people in the background, but it was clear that like this whatever was in this room, she was kind of making fun of me for being caught off guard as much as I was.
Yeah, there was a lot to take in, because there was a lot, like you could kind of hear, even in the moment, we'll try to interpret things as we go, right? You could hear us, talking about what we thought they said. It's interesting, behind me, what have you. But there was also moments that we didn't actually hear, and that it took reviewing to play it back. And they were she said a few different things there, just letting you know that she was there, that you weren't losing your mind, that she did seem to like you, or possibly like you, as it were. With all that being said, then you were talking about the group of people coming in. Well, she didn't seem to like that after a while. So we did get a little bit more communication. And this one clip I'll play, she started playing with the REM pod. If there's anyone in here.
Hello. Hello. Maybe you like having people here. Hello. Does that mean you like having us here, Margaret? Can you touch that device again? Huh? Thank you, Margaret. Thank you. Margaret, thank you.
So I know that like Sabrina, you've been out on a few investigations at this point, and the REM pods don't just go off like that that consistently. And it was a lot to take in there, because it was confusing. We didn't know who we were talking to, and she just kept going with the REM pod, but these people kept going, and they kept coming, and it was as if she was putting on a sideshow. So then what happened is she got irritated, she got angry. She didn't, that REM pod going off was not that she liked people there. That REM pod was almost a warning. So I'll continue with this one final clip of Margaret's room.
Leave? Did you hear that? Leave. Okay, we'll leave.
No. For that. Not really the best. Have more. Can you light up to tell Dan?
If I had $1 for every time on an investigation something told us to leave or to get out, we would not have to be working anymore, because it is a common theme. And I don't know. So here's where skeptical believer comes in. Are we forcing that narrative when we listen to something like that, or are they truly telling us, we've had enough, you kind of overstayed your welcome, go ahead and leave now, right? Sabrina, can you speak to that at all? I mean, do spirits do that? I mean, do they, like, at first, are they willing to maybe talk to you a little bit more, and then you kind of overstay your welcome? Because we've noticed
they get annoyed with you.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the amount of people that were around you, by the sounds of it. And I think that they don't mind when it's one or two people who are just interested in getting to know them and their story and what it is that they want to talk about. But when you start adding a bunch of people in there, that's when it feels like she starts getting really aggravated.
And I do think that if you think about it to that extent too, you listen to this clip and you listen to all the different things that go along with that. It starts off with leave, and then it gets into I'm mad, and she's saying not nice, and no more, go away. So it's not just the leave. It's not just, go away. It's all of those things kind of put together that really you can kind of feel the sense there,
Yeah, I think it was almost as if like she was fine with the first interaction with Dan. Like, oh, this is kind of fun. He seems nice. And then when people started treating her like she was something to see, then it was just kind of like, okay, now I don't like this. This isn't fun anymore, because it's not just one or two people.
Right. And it's whenever it becomes a sideshow, they're not there to put on an act. And I wish we could spend time there, just us, because it seemed like she would have been interested to talk more about us. And the story with her daughter is that she had drowned. Her daughter drowned on the island, and I don't think they know where she ended up being buried, because they did not put a tombstone. And that's one of the things that it's always questioned, right? Is, where is she buried? And that's possibly why she's there, right? I mean, nobody really knows much about her.
Yeah, and I share the feelings of like that entertainment part of it, upsetting the spirits. Because to be honest with you, it upsets me too, right? Like I say, like I went up there to get away from the ones that were trying to make it
Exactly.
a night of entertainment, So I understand where she's coming from on that, and that's just something that we have always. We're very fortunate in the fact that we've been invited and asked to assist with public events and different things. There's a right way and a wrong way to do it, at least as far as, the hours of evidence that we've captured. We tend to get more out of the spirits whenever we're not treating them like they're dancing in front of us. We treat it like it's that living room theory, right? That we talked about a couple episodes ago. It's just, talk to them like you're in their living room, talk to them with respect, talk to them with all of these things and make them want to talk back to you. But I know we've spent a lot of time in this bedroom, but we have some other things in this home as well that we had captured, which was downstairs. It was cool as heck. There's an entire room that was the walls and the floor and the ceiling were lined with black walnut wood. It was gorgeous, right? There you go. I mean, it's just it's an amazing room.
It really is. It's just gorgeous. I mean, there's no other way to put that, and it's even the furniture, I believe a lot of that's donated. It's time period based.
Mm-hmm.
They had slaves in there, didn't they?
They're so funny. You should mention that. Yes, but no. There is something that we will get into in the next episode when we talk about a different part of the island. But I believe that there is reason to believe that the Blennerhassetts did have slaves on the island.
They were considered servants.
It is not wide about. Yeah.
And what Dan's alluding to is like I think that's a different conversation, a different piece, a different part of this whole Blennerhassett Island picture. So, we can't really answer that question because I don't think that it's documented anywhere, as kind of what Dan was saying. Do you get that sense, Sabrina? Is that why you ask?
Yeah.
Okay.
So can we roll with that? What are you picking up? Like, what makes you ask that question?
I could just see people in this room. Like I could see somebody at the piano playing, and I could see slaves that were just serving a couple of people that were sitting on the couches there. So it's like they were servants bringing them their drinks and things as they were entertaining.
Okay.
Well, servants have been documented, so that is very possible. That is what you're picking up on.
Well, they seem like they were
more than that. I think I get what you're saying there.
We actually, I don't remember which time was when we heard this, but there's people that have reported this, generically, and as well as something that we had experienced. We actually heard somebody plucking on the piano strings on this piano while we were in another part of the house at one point. I don't remember which time it was, but that's actually a perfect segue to this, because we did hear about that, and we kind of all were drawn to this room. So we went fishing here too. And again, there's a chain up, you can't get in. We reached around to take this picture, like out around the corner. But so you can see in this next clip, we do have, some of our devices out here, and they were playing with them. And I'll roll that one here real quick.
You don't have to stay in there. You can come out and play. Look at all these cool toys.
Well, they're listening to K2's going off again.
This one?
Mm-hmm.
It's very much that net approach that you have to take when you investigate, right? We just kind of set stuff everywhere and they try to find where the spirits are first, and then see if they're going to be willing to speak with us. But do we have that video of the chain actually moving?
So the chain is actually in the blue room. Before we get to that, during this time frame, there's a clip that we had in this walnut room on the Phasma box that actually told a story. Nothing's documented as far as we could tell what the story is telling us, but we'll play the recording, kind of listen in, and we can give you our interpretation of what it is.
Margaret or Maggie, are you in this room?
Searching. Your hands are gone.
So again, nothing's documented as far as what's here, but from what we gathered, and a lot of this came in a review. You know, we couldn't hear it at the time to really communicate at the moment. But from what I got is there, it sounded like, to your point, Sabrina, it sounded like maybe a servant saying, "Sir, help! Her hands are cold. I'm to blame. Stay with me." All of these things sounded like something happened. There was some incident here that's not documented.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you got out of that, Sabrina, if anything, but that's kind of the feeling.
Yeah. It kind of feels like there was something more significant with whatever water was on that property. There was a few people that it seems like had been in that water. And I can't say for sure that more than one had drowned, but it kind of feels like that. And that's what it feels like the energy of this communication is about.
There are growing numbers, I will tell you that. I don't know what the numbers are, but you remember all the stories, Dan. There was like one after another. There was even somebody that jumped off the bridge about a year or so before we went and investigated the first time. So the island's still taking people.
Well, I don't remember it jumping off a bridge, but what I do remember is there was a dock that was on the island, that somebody that was actually working on the island for the historical foundation or somebody for the preservation or whatever. Some older gentleman had a cardiac event and actually fell into the water off of the dock.
I do recall that one as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's I don't want to say the island's taking lives, but there's certainly, there's certainly a more to the story than meets the eye, for sure.
Yeah. It's funny because what I get with that is that there was at some point some kind of curse was placed on the island because of some of the things that happened there. Like it feels like Native American protectors were not happy with what the people in the house were actually using the property for. There was things that
I believe it.
They didn't like.
I would definitely believe that because it seems like it,
Yeah, so I want to leave it there, right, Sabrina? I know we didn't plan on this being the jolt into the next episode, but the concept of these protective spirits and these things that are that have been left there to watch over the island itself, not the house, not the not the buildings on the property, but the island itself. We're going to get into on the next episode when we kind of go around the island, different sections, right? So I guess what we need to do is we need to go back here as a larger group now that we have the four of us, because we have more skills, more abilities, more equipment.
We've learned so much since then.
We really have. And Sabrina, I'd love to take you back there with us and Aaron as well, to this island, because I think there's many more stories that it wants to tell that we just hadn't gleaned out of it. So yeah, no, I definitely think we want to go back there, because something's just not right. Like something's just not 100% flushed out. Right.
Yeah.
So everybody, we want to thank you for crossing the bridge with us tonight, and for making the journey back safely. Until next time, stay curious, stay grounded, and remember, you can always return from the other side of the bridge.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Bye.